Hi everyone, my name is Yara Eladawy and I'm an interior designer and I'm going to talk today about Genesis, a thesis project dedicated for children with Down syndrome and how to encourage social communication between them and the Qatari community. First of all, what is Down syndrome? Down syndrome is characterized by the presence of an extra chromosome that alters the way the infant's body and brain develops, posing both mental and physical obstacles. It is the most common hereditary type of mental impairment, as well as a significant source of specific birth abnormality and medical disorder. Although there are some variation, most people with Down syndrome exhibit not only mental impairment but also speech and language problems, notable in language creation and grammar. Down syndrome is categorized under intellectual disability, which World Health Organization defined as a significantly reduced ability to understand new or complex information and to learn and apply new skills. It is categorized by limitation in intellectual functioning, the person's ability to discover, justify, make choices, and solve issues, and adaptive behavior, like daily life activities such as communication and interaction. This results in a decreased capacity to cope socially and has a longer-term impact on growth beginning before reaching adulthood. More than 4 million people worldwide has Down syndrome. 971 of them are in Qatar, both Qatari and non-Qatari. 57% of adults with Down syndrome worldwide are employed. Only 3% are full-time paid employees and 26% are volunteers. Therefore, the research question for this study is how can the Qatari community promote social inclusivity for people with Down syndrome? So why is it significant to promote social inclusivity for people with Down syndrome? Along with impaired communication, their physical characteristics, especially their facial characteristics, makes them stand out among others, causing people to behave differently than they would around a healthy person. Perhaps those related to a person with Down syndrome or people with Down syndrome would feel uncomfortable in this setting. This is especially an issue in the Qatari community because of societal stigma and perception of shame associated with disabilities. Because many people with Down syndrome, both young and old, has usually high sensitivity of their environment and the events that occurs within it, bullying or a conflict in the space could act as a trigger. A phobia characterized by an extreme aversion to public spaces or social situations is known as agoraphobia, which is a type of anxiety disorder. It can develop after a distressing experience, making them reluctant to return to a similar circumstance or space, making them not leave their house as much. Families in Qatar with disabled children was impacted by the integration of their community or lack therefore. These results demonstrate a lack of resources in a society where mothers express a desire for more hospitable settings for those with disabilities. Due to the current social pressure, a family with a disabled child may encounter social isolation, shame, and embarrassment. As a result of those problems, the Qatari community has continued to isolate people with disabilities. On top of that, mothers most commonly mention that they feel uncomfortable interacting with neighbors, feeling under pressure to defend their children in public, embarrassed over their children's inappropriate behaviors, and the reaction of neighbors to those behaviors as an additional reason why they found being in public to be difficult. However, the state of Qatar has been offered more resources to people with developed disabilities to raise awareness of their rights. Individuals, families, services require support developing awareness of self-esteem for those with learning impairments and mental health issues. More resources should be available to individuals, families, services providers. Thus, educating the Qatari community on Down syndrome is crucial to ensure that people with Down syndrome do not feel excluded. The Shafallah Center and other facilities in Qatar have been made available to those children and their families in Qatar in an effort to help them and give them a sense of inclusivity in the community. However, when they are outside of those facilities, the sense of inclusivity is not there anymore because the community itself wasn't part of those facilities, because it's only for children with disabilities. So there is no awareness or inclusion for everyone. Therefore, the goal of this study is to educate the community about people with Down syndrome so there isn't any restrictions for them to avoid being part of the community. So there's going to be a community that has children with and without Down syndrome so that both can adapt to each other. Additionally, the parents of the children with Down syndrome will not be reluctant to take their children outside. The proposed study aims to aid children with Down syndrome and their families in becoming more inclusive in the Qatari community through advocacy, community education, and the acquisition of lifelong skills that will boost confidence and ease social interactions. Therefore, this proposal relies heavily on qualitative methods of data collection. Qualitative data will be gathered through a review of existing literature, semi-structured interviews with local experts based on convenient sampling, and an analysis of 2 case studies. And for the sake of time, I will be focusing on literature reviews and interviews in this presentation. The proposed study for this problem will be undertaken through literature reviews of scholarly works and research paper written by mental health specialists who has already addressed this problem. The literature review will involve gathering data from Google Scholar, online libraries, and VCU Art Qatar Library to understand the challenges that the children with Down syndrome face in the community and the impact that this had on their emotional well-being. Inclusivity for children with Down syndrome in the community. Without understanding, social obstacles limit disabled people inclusion and harm the community. Due to those obstacles, disabled and able-bodied individuals may lose contact. And negative thinking regarding people with disabilities might threaten schools, communities' integration. Misinformation about disability might influence such views. In the UK, a study 231 trainee teachers' attitude toward including children with Down syndrome found that most believe regular classrooms provided educational, social and emotional benefits for children with Down syndrome and other children in the class, but they have concerns about having one in their own class. The misinformation and negative expectations may have impacted their beliefs. Community knowledge and attitude impact disability, acceptance, support and opportunity. Effective inclusion will benefit Down syndrome students academically and socially, and those benefits include higher self-esteem, improved speech and communication, friendship development, independence in daily life activities, high educational achievements, and social integrations. The difficulty lies in finding a way to educate the public about the disabilities, improving their acceptance and support for the people with disabilities in the community. Assistive technology. How technological advances support the Down syndrome population. Down syndrome causes poor balance, hearing, visual, and communication. Thereby, those difficulties require unique teaching methods. Assistive technology programs, softwares can benefit students with Down syndrome if carefully planned, and this will help children with Down syndrome develop different skills. E-training can help in developing social and digital skills, and virtual reality has the potential of applications like a virtual supermarket, a virtual cafe, and a virtual reality job interview training that can help in independent living skills and can be helpful in a conservative society such as Qatar. Those applications can help individuals with Down syndrome make everyday duties easier for them and improve their community communication. And Qatar has started using technology by creating a Qatar Assistive Technology Center to help engage disabled people to improve their social integration and performance. Language and communication skills development for children with Down syndrome. Individuals with Down syndrome frequently have poor speech intelligibility, and the cause of this poor speech intelligibility is unknown, but it could be due to a sound error pattern or word shape reduction. Children with Down syndrome develop their adaptive skills at a lower rate than a typical developed children, reaching their peak at the age of 12. Koeman takes a practice approach, providing understandable techniques, explanation, and related activities to improve learning and language for children with Down syndrome. She focuses on early years from birth to about 5 to 6 years old. Koeman also describes the stages of communication development and how physical characteristics common to Down syndrome affect language and speech skills. She explains how the delaying process of those skills can lead to frustration and other issues. Challenges for Down syndrome parenting. Families with disabled children may face social isolation, ashamed, and embarrassment due to social pressures, especially in Qatar. Due to the social factors, the families with children with Down syndrome hesitates in them attending schools at a younger age, and this will lead to more issues in the future. However, some mothers express how disabilities positively impacted their life while raising their children, which include faith in God, patience, new relationship with other peoples who are familiar with disabilities, and growth in knowledge and experience while raising their disabled children. Also, mother requested special centers that could serve the entire family, such as a sports club for exercise, a special club for other activities, and special playing centers with interaction with children without disabilities, which will increase the growth and knowledge for the other children and increase the social skills for the disabled children. After the literature review, a better understanding of how mentally and emotionally and psychological struggles children with Down syndrome and their parents face in the community. Also, how the community can improve and utilize to help children with Down syndrome become more integrated, especially in the Qatari community. Also, the lack of clarity about the Down syndrome population and how to understand their limitation and possibilities, and how to educate the general public about those disabilities. Also, finding ways to engage children with Down syndrome, assisting them in acquiring skills that will make them more inclusive in the community. To gain insight and a new perspective on the issue and examine the literature review findings, it is helpful to conduct an interview with a psychologist and a special education specialist at Al Shafallah Center in Qatar, an organization specializing in the environmental and psychological needs of children with Down syndrome and with other special needs, inquiring about mental health issues that individuals with Down syndrome and their relatives face while providing a better understanding of their experience with the community and people who do not understand their issues. Also, the questions would be about the environment that would make children with Down syndrome feel more comfortable and safer, mainly children's age 4 to 18, which is the age group that this study will focus on. Both interviews had fundamental similarities when discussing children with Down syndrome in various aspects, such as their education, emotions, issues they face in the community, how the community can be beneficial for them and other children in the community, how language and communication skills are vital for children with Down syndrome in the community, and the various environmental and social considerations that are needed to help a child with Down syndrome to be more inclusive in the community. These are things that were discussed throughout both interviews. The interviews helped to provide a better understanding of how to address the needs of children who had Down syndrome in order to make them more engaged and inclusive member of the community, and to improve a better environment for them that can satisfy their needs and help educate the general public about them to help them and their parents. Both interviewed helped to fill in some gaps in the existing body of language, such as how there are ways that are already happening here in Qatar to include children with Down syndrome in the community more, such as an organization which is called Best Buddies, which includes activities and events all over Qatar in different schools and universities, and the psychological effect that they may face as a result of the environment that they are in and the people or other children that they interact with. The findings of this study shows the language and communication skills are vital for children with Down syndrome in the community. People in general feel uncomfortable when interacting with individuals with special needs due to their lack of knowledge or understanding of this disability. The community's knowledge and attitude affect disability acceptance, support, and opportunities for individuals with Down syndrome. Assistive technology can be instrumental in enhancing the communication skills of people with Down syndrome. Technology allowed them to move around, communicate with others, and develop appropriate social skills. By and large, assistive technology can potentially help people with Down syndrome with daily tasks and boost their confidence in communication with others in the community and therefore enhance inclusivity within the larger community. Thank you for listening.